Well, welcome to the Social Selling Linking into Sales podcast with myself, Martin Brossman. Greg's busy taking care of clients. Greg Heyer and Elise Archer's off doing the same. So I get you all to myself. Jon Ferrara, is that closer? I get it?
That's perfect.
That's all right, great. And we have a few quick show notes, and then I want to get into this fantastic topic on how to prospect smarter, because I'm getting questions more of it. Now we have more data, and really, how do you prospect smarter? So I'm very excited about this show. Jon, today, I just want to dig in directly on what we have to talk about. I'll mention our sponsor, which is ourself, and we have a new social selling fundamentals training online at socialselling.training. It'll be in the show notes. We're really excited. Greg and I spent pretty much a solid year putting together these pieces, and now we have a 5-hour training program online completely of fundamentals of social selling for a salesperson who wants to learn it. And it's on, and if you're interested, contact me on LinkedIn and tell me you want the special deal, and we'll send you a coupon code that's really valuable. This is a limited time, so if you hear this many months later, it may not be available, but let me know. But I'm very excited to have that as well. Today, we're going to jump right into the show, and thank you, Jon, for coming on, because I know you need to get a plane soon, and I see you're glowing. If you're watching the video, he has a little aura above him that's glowing, and the topic, again, is how to prospect smarter. So, Jon, let's jump into this.
Well, first off, Martin, I want to thank you and your team for enabling me to join you today to share a little bit of our vision about how people need to be concerned about their network and their brand, because their network is their net worth, and that we all have a golden Rolodex, and we're not taking good care of it because basically your contacts are spread amongst all these different places, your phone, your website, and your business applications. And in order for you to build your network and nurture your brand, you need to be able to consolidate your contacts from all the different places so that you have a unified view of relationships, and you can identify people that matter and reach out in a relevant, authentic way with ideally the desire to help other people grow. Because I think that's why we're on this planet. We're on this planet to grow our souls by helping other people grow theirs. And that service is the new sales. And so if you want to be able to prospect smarter, to identify people that you might be able to serve at scale, you need help today, because we're all over-connected and over-communicated, and you need to find ways to identify those people and then connect and reach out. The technology that we have today, the access to information, doesn't give us the right to cold call people. It does give us the right to reach out in a relevant, authentic way with a specific reason and a way we might add value, but you need help to do that, and that's why we built Nimble. But I'm not here to talk about Nimble. I'm here to talk about how you, the listener, can achieve your goals and reach your passion, plan, and purpose in life. And I believe you'll do it via relationships.
You had an example, though, of reaching out to someone recently, if you wouldn't mind sharing, where the connection happened on one platform and then you moved over from Twitter and you had lunch with them.
Yes. So I think in order for you to build your brand, you need to be setting yourself up as a trusted advisor. So you've forgotten more about your products and services than anybody you serve will ever know in their lifetime. Give your knowledge away on a daily basis, not talking about yourself or your products, but talk about how you might help others become better, smarter, faster. And we call that content. And so if you're sharing content on a daily basis to inspire and educate other people, then what happens is people bite on that content and they begin to listen and engage with you. And this is how I've built my brand, and we've built the Nimble brand by sharing content and hashtagging appropriately with the areas of promise of our product, pound sales, pound marketing, etc. And we built this community of over 100,000 people who subscribe to Nimble and basically see us as trusted advisors. And one of these people that bid on that content happened to happen in Twitter. Now, we share content across a variety of places, and you need to be listening and engaging on whatever channel is most effective for your customer. including Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Foursquare, Google+, Crunchbase, AngelList, and Snapchat. Maybe not all of those, but I certainly focus on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And it was on Twitter that somebody shouted Nimble and myself out. Now, what happened is the conversation went like this. There is a analyst, head of strategy named Tiffany Bova at Salesforce. She used to be one of the lead Gartner analysts in CRM. And she shouted out on Twitter that Salesforce is all about empowering customer engagement and relationships. Now, if you know what Salesforce is, it's a CRM, and CRM today doesn't stand for relationships. It stands for reporting, because CRM systems are designed for management, not for customer-facing business team members. And what she said was tantamount to the evil emperor saying that the force is all about, that the empire is all about the force and goodness. And somebody basically called her to the mat on that. And the person's name was Theo on Twitter. And Theo basically said, nah, CRM is about command and control, and when are sales managers going to loosen their grip? And oh, by the way, isn't this what Jon Ferrara has been teaching for the past 5 years about social CRM and social selling? And isn't that what Nimble is really empowering? Customer engagement. Now, that caught my eye. First off, I know Tiffany. I've known her for 20 years, and I respect her. She's a great analyst. But now that she works for Salesforce, she's basically trying to tout the line of, you know, what large CRMs are trying to say, and they're trying to sort of transition the conversation, and they should, because we do need to power customer-facing business team members. But I wanted to know more about Theo, so I nimbled him, and Nimble auto-magically built a record about who he is, where he works, and what he does. Now, he turned out to be the head of CRM and data at Disney. Now, Disney, Walt Disney Company, is a very big company. They own a lot of things, including Channel 7 or ABC and other things like that. So that intrigued me. And Nimble now has a new feature called Nimble Prospector, which will not only automatically give you details on people in the company, but also their contact info, including their phone number, their address, and their email, and their title. And so what I did was I commented on the Twitter stream, but then I emailed him because he gave me permission by talking about me in the way that he did. It was intimate. He knew who I was. He knew what my passion was, what my business is about. And I felt comfortable reaching out to thank him for shouting me out. And I asked to connect with him to learn more about him. And that's the way you should reach out. You should reach out with the purpose to connect, to learn more about the other person, to find ways to add value. So I did that. I got an email response in literally 5 seconds. He then connected with me on LinkedIn and started sending me LinkedIn messages. And that's where he's comfortable, right? So you need to be able to communicate on the channels that are comfortable with the person. So this conversation shifted from Twitter to email to LinkedIn. And in that LinkedIn conversation, I learned that not only does he live in my neighborhood, but our daughters go to the same school. And we then coordinated breakfast that weekend, 2 days later. So then it shifted from LinkedIn to a calendar appointment to a face-to-face meeting where I learned that he's building incredible systems in Salesforce's platform and that we have alignment on certain aspects of things that we're working on. And I found out how he found out about me, because you should always find out, how did you learn about me or you when you find people talking about you? And he said he met me through somebody I met on an airplane who was a influencer, thought leader, talking about growing corporations. And I built a relationship. She started using Nimble, and she called this guy because he's an expert in CRM. So that conversation on the airplane shifted to a connection and relationship with the head of data and CRM at Disney. And that is the way relationships happen. They're messy. They happen across multiple channels. And the tools you're using for contact management, Office 365, Gmail, G Suite, iCloud, or for CRM, things like Salesforce, aren't designed for engagement across platform and to be able to identify contact information and reach out and communicate across all these channels. And that's why we built Nimble, because your network is your net worth, and you need to be prospecting every moment of every day. There are opportunities for conversations that happen in every place and every channel that you're in. Nimble helps you to do it better, smarter, faster.
I just want to break that down because that's a great journey that occurred. And it started with a trigger that you were listening for. So we call that social selling and a trigger. They mentioned you. You then look to see, is there something, anything here? Is there a way to acknowledge? Someone acknowledged me and you were listening for it, okay?
Yeah.
Then if I'm correct, from there, you went, okay, he's made the effort to acknowledge. I can like it, but then because he made that effort, it's clear if you're listening, he gave permission to engage with me. He said something positive, you know?
Yes, but I think we missed a couple of parts of that loop. And I think there should be a blog post that documents this whole thing, because I think this is a lesson that should be taught in school.
Yeah.
Okay. It started with sharing content that's inspirational and educational in and about the areas of promise of your products and services, not about you, not about your products, but teaching other people how they can become better, smarter, faster. And I liken that to dripping digital lures in the social business river. If you sit in your office and you do nothing, the world will wash by you. But if you sit in your office and drop digital fishing lures into the social business river to inspire and educate other people, they will bite on that and they will look at you and get to know you, and they may start talking about you. You need to be able to identify the likes, comments, bites, connections, or people talking about you, and to respond to those. Because if you don't respond to them, then basically they just go away. Because if somebody basically goes, hey, Martin, I really love your podcast, and you don't respond to them, they're not going to continue focusing on you and talking about you. And so you need to be able to respond, and you may not be able to respond to every single thing all the time. But for the key ones, certainly you should respond and engage. Ideally, respond to everything, but the key ones you should. But how do you know which ones are key? And so this leaves us off right at this point where you're talking is this person talked, I heard, I engaged, but then I took it to the next level, right? You have to take that initiation. So go ahead.
Yeah, and excellent. And then from there, you looked them up using tools, and one was the new Prospector. You know, if someone had another tool that worked, they might do that. But you now realize, wait a second, he's made an effort to bring me up. There's an open door here. And this is the thing the salespeople have to listen for, appropriate open doors to move into, I think.
Yes.
And that was an appropriate open door for you to send an email and say, hey, thank you so much. That was just appreciating him. That wasn't, here's my latest pitch. Do you want to buy my product?
Exactly. See, that is the negative that happens so much, that people think just because I have your contact info that I can now send you a brochure, right? Yeah. Or I could ask you to buy.
I want to really reiterate in this, is such good anatomy. In that one, he didn't give you permission to pitch to him because he liked your product, and you knew that. So you were just, thank you so much for saying that. You know, I appreciate it. Some information. Love to hear more about what you, you know, get to know you, you know. Then from there, the journey went on. He responded back. Okay, this response. And then there was no pitch there. I want to reiterate, you know, then from there, you learned the data and found out, my gosh, I can take it offline into the real three-dimensional world. A valuable.
And there's a lesson there. The more digital we get, the more human we need to be. I think so many people are forgetting to pick up the phone and actually call somebody or meet them face to face. And so that relationship then shifted across these places, which initiated a face-to-face meeting. And Martin, I really believe that human beings connect via their eyeballs, via their faces, via the hearts and souls. And when you sit across the table from somebody and break bread with them, and most importantly, listen, because people will love you if you let them talk. And I essentially let him talk for the first half hour. And if you let somebody talk for a half hour, they're going to fall in love with you.
I love that. I love that. And I'm going to bring up, we got about, I think it's 7% of the communication through text, and then it increases as we get auditory in, as we get visual in, and then as we get in person. So it's really the richness of the data was growing there of getting to know this person and what's going on. And then you found some appropriate connections. I mean, a father who has a kid at a school and they match, that's what I'd call appropriate knowledge for you to know. We're both fathers. We happen to have this alignment. So that's an appropriate data for you to introduce to and support the rapport building skills. And then you met in person, you got to learn more. And also you learned more of how he's using another product. You didn't, again, there wasn't a pitch there. Let me know what you're doing, with
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah. And I think there's a lesson there that I want to emphasize to everybody listening. He told me that he's using Salesforce to build business process platforms within Disney. They're not using it as a CRM per se. They're using it to automate the contracts for licensing at Disney so that they know the margins, the points, the payouts, and all the details. Imagine how many products Disney has and what the licensing agreements look like for movies and all the different things that they build and the characters and the brands. And so I believe that the legacy CRMs like Salesforce and Dynamics, although they're good CRMs, plumbing systems for big companies, I think they're becoming database platforms at businesses. They're plumbing. But what businesses need are beautiful faucets and shower heads that you could turn on and actually have a great experience. And if you think about it, as the legacy large CRMs like Dynamics and Salesforce evolve into really the mainstay plumbing of large corporations, Nimble's evolving into an engagement system, and we actually will coexist and work with your existing social, sales, marketing, customer service, and accounting platforms, because in 2 weeks, we will deliver bi-directional intelligent synchronization with 80 of the top SaaS apps in the world, which means that Nimble not only unifies your email, contact, calendar, and social as a team relationship platform, but we will also do it with any business tool you have, which means we can free up the Dynamics and Salesforce context in your siloed CRM and empower your business teams to prospect smarter everywhere they work. And any work they do will go back into the legacy CRMs to feed the reporting and the plumbing that businesses have in place, which I am pretty excited about.
That sounds wonderful. And what occurred is now you've opened the door with a relationship that started from a tweet. Actually, it started because you had content out there. You had the right content out there because he found that content. How did he know it's a good product? Because he found the content. So that was the content that started. Then we started on Twitter. And the key I want to get is you listened for the platform he wanted to communicate on, and you communicated on it. He moved over, he wanted to connect.
What was cool is that Nimble was working, because we have the browser plugin, in Twitter to listen and engage. And then when we shifted to email, it was in my email inbox, so I had the consistency. And then as he shifted over to LinkedIn in the messaging of LinkedIn, Nimble is there. So wherever I'm working, it's working with me to provide context, the history of interaction and conversations, insights, who are they and what are they about, and the ability to follow up and follow through. Because Martin, it's the basics that wins games, and we don't do the basics because we have to go to our contact tools or our CRMs to log the notes, schedule the task, and to look up the information and to type in the information. And we don't do it because we're human beings. And so the fact that it worked with me in those places as it shifted made it easy for me to utilize it and to do the follow-up and follow-through.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And then that led to the in-person meeting. And what I like is that we've kind of mapped out, the topic is how to prospect smarter. And we've mapped out an example. I want to switch gears and give an example of something someone brought up in my intro to social selling class, because and then have you talk about what you say. This is a gentleman that works in the area of printing. They have a niche that they work with. They really care about their customer. They're always looking to enter their world. But he said, my customers and people I'm talking to are connecting me on LinkedIn. And then when I reach back and say, how can I help you? I'm not getting a response. And I of course shared my insight, but I'll let you talk about that's a initial interaction. And how could he then take it possibly to moving forward in the new relationship prospecting that's on the web and off the web?
You said that people reach out and connect with him on LinkedIn, and he responds back via LinkedIn, how can I help you? And he gets dead air.
Right. That's it.
Okay. All right. So I think a generic, how can I help you, goes flat. And because they may be connecting because of any number of reasons, including they want to sell him. But in many cases, they connect because they see him as a professional peer that they want to grow their network. They may not be necessarily looking to buy something. So I think how can I help you is just too generic. I would approach it more like this. First off, I'd nimble them, because you want to understand who somebody is and what their business is about and what you might have in common, because relationships are built on the 5 F's of life: family, friends, food, fun, and fellowship. And that if you just try to build connections via the business persona, it's like basically just using LinkedIn to figure out who somebody is. That's one chair of a stool. A stool has at least 4 legs. And so I use not just LinkedIn, but Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and other tools to really walk in somebody's digital footprint to find out who they are, and then what we might have in common and how I might be able to serve them, because service is the new sales. So let's imagine that I nimbled them. I didn't have to go to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram to figure this out, because Nimble automatically gives me all of it in one place. And I figured out what we might have in common. And I shared that with them with a knowledge of who they are and what the business is about, with a little bit of sprinkling of that. And then said, I'd love to connect to learn more about you. And so here's an example. There is the CEO of a company called Inside Sales. It's a large robo-dialing platform for enterprises. You get those phone calls all the time. Phone rings on line 1, and then it rings on line 2, and you pick it up, and there's dead air for a second. Then somebody gets on the phone. Anyways, guy's name is Ken Crow. And I was preparing to connect with Ken. Now, I didn't just send an email to the guy or message the guy and say, hey, Ken, how can I help you? What I did is I nimbled him, and I found out that we shared in common 2 sons who are Eagle Scouts. Now, I have 2 sons who are Eagle Scouts. He has 2 sons who are Eagle Scouts, and he was an assistant scoutmaster in ASM for 6 years, and so was I. That builds immediate trust, because anybody who spent time helping young boys grow into men in the mountains and done that with their sons knows what an amazing experience and transformational, not just for the children, but for themselves. And because of that, I was able to build that intimacy and trust, which initiated an hour-long conversation, and now we're fast friends. And so don't send generic responses. Don't send generic invites. Don't send generic replies. Take the time to learn who somebody is and what their business is about. In the old days, we did that by going in somebody's office and looking at the walls, looking at the books they read, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect. And then we figured out what we had in common to build the intimacy and trust we need to get them to open up to us about their business issues, which as a professional we can then solve. Today, you nimble somebody.
I think that's great. And I want to get the anatomy, what that is. What he's got is he's got people that might be customers and customers connecting. He has an opportunity to respond with a personal note to enhance the relationship. Let's start there. It's your key thing. Let's start to see if we can learn something else, and in the prospecting domain, let's start there. And it might be that he happened to know they're doing something, and he might have an added value article, not added value article.
Let's talk about that. If he nimbled that person and saw that they were a business owner that sells products to Staples, let's just say. And he knows that they are selling, let's just say they're pins, pins, right, at the millions to Staples and other people like that. And he knows that there's a new printing process and that basically helps you to cut the cost in half, right? Or he has a customer that is like that person, that he helped them to do this unique thing. And so essentially you could, once they've connected, that gives you permission to reach out and share some knowledge. And so you don't just say, hey, would you buy this? Or, hey, how can I help you? You say, hey, Martin, thanks for connecting. I see that you own a pen manufacturing company. You know, I'm in the printing business, and I know how hard it is to keep costs down in packaging and distribution. And I actually have a customer that distributes office supply products through distribution. And here's a case study of what I did with them. I'd love to connect to learn more about you and how I might be able to help you build efficiencies in your business.
That's it. That's excellent. And now I'm going to give another example that I heard. And the guy just said, I'm reaching out to the customer. They're connecting me on LinkedIn. The executives connect to me. But then when I attempt to let them know what I have to offer, they don't respond. And I got to tell John, unfortunately, the poor guy who was at a social meeting, I just about bit his head off going, you have no right to pitch after that busy person took the time to connect to you. You better be getting out 5 pieces of great content over time to this person, tailored to them, a value before you ever do anything else. And I think he was sort of shocked, but I was passionate about it. I want him to succeed. I wasn't one to beat him up. And so if you would add something to that, if you connect and you get what you think is the contact person and they're willing to connect to you, let's talk about that in the new world of prospecting. What do you do next?
Well, I think if you want to learn about this, there's a great book by Gary Vaynerchuk that's called Jab, Jib or something like that.
Right.
And essentially, it's all about exactly what you just said, is give, right? Give. That is, you're there to serve and help them grow. Give. And then they will ask you, how can I help you? Right? So don't ask. The new sales is don't ask, right? Just be a trusted advisor and they will say, hey, I really love what you're doing. I've got this problem I want to solve. And so if you establish yourself as a trusted advisor in and around the areas of promise of your products and services, you don't actually have to cold call anybody. Your customers will have you as top of mind, and they will not only pick up the phone and call you when they need your products and services, but they'll drag their friends with them.
Excellent. I think we've got now 3 examples of how to prospect smarter. And one of the things I keep finding is people go, what is the etiquette? How do I start? I really think what's happening, John, is we know how to interact appropriately in person, but many of us are still learning the appropriate slowdown rate on the web, because I'll say, you don't walk up to people with a pitch as soon as you say hello, do you? Because then they're trying to avoid you on the street at all costs.
That's like an auto DM.
Right, exactly. Auto direct message. That's right. And I'd like you to just go into a little more, some tips on how to prospect smarter that you have. And also any examples of fails, because sometimes people get a lot from hearing what not to do and what are fails, because they may not be conscious that they're doing that now.
Sure. I'm going to give you an example of how to prospect smarter at scale. I'm going to be going to this conference called Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. And what I want to be able to do is to connect with people at scale before I go to the conference. And so what I'll do is I'll import Twitter lists of the previous 5 years speakers and the previous 5 years influencers who have attended the conference. And those Twitter lists are available for any major conference that you are planning to attend to. So if you're going to a business conference, you want to prepare before you go, you could essentially import a Twitter list into Nimble. Nimble will automatically enrich the people and company information with their background information, including their contact info. And then you should not message everybody with the same generic message and say, hey, I'm coming to the conference, come see me, right? What you should do is you should identify segments of people that matter, that are aligned to your passion, plan, and purpose in life, and then send a one-to-one message to each of them from your personal email to them, tailored to them in a way that they feel that you are talking to them in a relevant and authentic one-to-one way with a specific presentation of how you might add value to them, and maybe an ask for a time to connect to learn more about them. And if you do that, you're going to get outrageous open rates. This is how I prepare for conferences. And when I do, I get 50 to 100% open rate and get an amazing success. So I prepared for going to Microsoft's World Partner Conference in Toronto. and I imported a Twitter list of 3,500 people, and I segmented out 199 people that fit a certain criteria and certain areas of influence, because Nimble not only tags people with their background, but also their areas of passion and influence. So I was able to find people that were interested in social sales and marketing, and I invited them to my TED Talk that I was giving on social selling there. And I got a 50% open rate. I scheduled 25 meetings, and one of those meetings resulted in Microsoft signing a deal to start reselling Nimble worldwide and bundling it with Office 365, which actually started this week. And so you can reach out at scale in a one-to-one, relevant and authentic way if you can put contacts in your contact platform, in your database, in your CRM, to be able to enrich it with their people and company and their areas of passion and influence, and then segment in one-to-one way, send those tailored messages, and to then follow up with a face-to-face conversation, and then most importantly, follow up and follow through. And if you do what I just said, you will make every conference that you attend in the future amazing, and you will start to build relationships and your network and your brand at scale.
Okay, I want to break that one down too, just so we get it. So what occurred is you were going to the conference. You brought in, talk a little bit about what you brought in from Twitter, because not everyone knows that idea.
So just go to my Twitter identity. It's Jon, Jon_Ferrara.
Okay.
And what you'll see is that I build my own Twitter list. And you'll see Twitter lists that I've built for various conferences that I am planning on attending. So you'll see the list that I've built there. And then that shows you what I'm passionate about, right? What the kind of people or things I'm interested in. But then you go look at member of, and under the member of, you see the list that people put me on. That's how people see me, as they basically recognize my areas of influence in those areas. So the list I'm on essentially says that I am influential in entrepreneurship, social selling, CEO, startups, marketing, etc. And you can find lists of influencers in any category or people that are interested in any conference, because every conference has a hashtag. So social media marketing world is #SMMW or something like that. And then it's either 17, 16, or 15 or 14. So if you went and search for, you can even just go to the Twitter handle for the conference itself, Social Media Marketing World, and they have Twitter lists of the previous year's speakers. We can just get them from there. Or if you just Google it or search on Twitter, you'll find hashtags for conferences that for the previous years. And I've done that with Dreamforce. I've got 8,000 of the top speakers and influencers and thought leaders in Dreamforce, and I'm going to guerrilla attend the conference and connect at scale with editors, analysts, bloggers, influencers in around CRM. And that's amazing, because I couldn't get a hold of these people and have all those meetings without the ability to import Twitter lists into Nimble. So if you go into that Twitter list right now, you'll see on the left-hand side, it says import list to Nimble. Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure do.
And if you want to find out about this, you just Google Twitter list Nimble, and you'll see blog posts that we've created that teach you to do exactly this. Once you've imported that Twitter list into Nimble, Nimble will create a contact record for every one of those people and automatically enrich it with people and company information, including their areas of influence, which are like auto tags on the contact. So if you were to hover on my name in Twitter or turn on the Nimble browser plugin on my contact record in Twitter, you would see that I've got these 5 areas of influence. What are my 5 areas of influence? Turn that on, Martin. And so while he's doing that, those are like auto tags on my record. So if you import a Twitter list of, say, 3,500 people from the previous year's conference of World Partner Conference, which is now called Inspire by Microsoft, if you want to connect at scale at the next year's Inspire conference, you can go find Twitter lists of the previous year's conferences, import them into Nimble, and then Nimble will automatically build a record with not just their name and their title and their company, but also their areas of influence and interest, which you could then segment out certain segments. And rather than messaging all 3,500, you can message a small segment or a series of small segments in Nimble that are related to some areas of your passion and purpose. So what are my tags in
Here we go. I'm in here. So let's start with Twitter.
Turn on the browser, the Nimble browser plugin.
Okay.
Over there to the right. Yeah. Okay. So basically, when you turn Nimble on, it automatically will bring up the record or build a record for a person. Now scroll down.
Okay.
Keep scrolling down in the Nimble plugin. Keep going down. Keep going down.
Oh, got it.
Okay. Stop.
Okay.
Influence. Do you see that?
Yep.
Social business, Salesforce, SaaS, CRM, Microsoft, B2B, CRM. So these, if you were to search in Nimble for everybody who is influential in CRM or B2B or social business, you would find not only Jon, but all the other people. So then you could build segments in Nimble without having to tag people, because Nimble automatically tags people. And so if you go to the left, go pick a list, Microsoft Inspired Day 2. Okay. Now scroll to the left. Do you see that says import Twitter list?
You got it.
Yep. So now if you click that, all those names, those 528 names will go into Nimble, and they'll automatically be tagged with that tag, and you could change that. Now click in members, the blue sign right there, up in the left. Okay. Now go hover on Sandeep Misra. Just hover on the name.
All right.
Okay, stop here. Okay, go click on the thing that has the yellow sort of highlight there. Okay, stop here. Stop here. What Nimble will do is it'll automatically build a record for every single one of those people in there, just like this, and scroll down to the additional contacts there. So click yes on the LinkedIn.
Yep.
Okay, now go back up and click search for contact info. This is Nimble Prospector.
Yep.
And now click, okay, stop here. So if you give Nimble the first name, last name, and company name and domain, now it's saying, is Microsoft.com the domain? So click that, say yes. Mm-hmm. Now Nimble will give you their email, their phone number, their address, their title, all automatically. Is that amazing?
That's amazing.
Stop here.
Yep.
Click the box by the email, the one to the left, the box. Click the box to the left of the email.
Okay.
Okay. That's basically saying, yes, I want all this stuff in there. Now scroll down, all the way down, and say save data.
Save data. Now we got it.
Okay, now say save.
Save, right.
Okay, you've just built a record in Nimble with all the things you need to do to reach out. Nimble does that automatically by importing this Twitter list, and then you can segment and outreach at scale, either in email, either in letter, physical address, or on the phone, or via social.
And I want to talk about that now. Here's where the appropriateness, is it going to be a welcome interruption for them or not, to talk about? Just because I have it doesn't mean I need to use it. And that's what, to me, is so important in understanding prospecting.
Yes. Yes. Do you have the right to pick up the phone and call that person right now?
I would say no, because there hasn't been a relationship built enough to do it.
That's right. But many people do. How many cold calls do you get a day?
Way too many.
Too many, right?
You know.
But let me ask you something. Have you ever gotten a cold call that you got that call and you said to yourself, man, this is a great call. I'm happy this person called me.
Yes, absolutely. And if I took time, let's just take this gentleman we just looked at. What if that was the important person to contact? What would you give me coaching on to possibly start building a relationship so he'd want my call? Just we can make something up here.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. A story of how I scaled Goldmine to nearly $100 million in revenue without taking a dime of venture capital on $5,000 investment. What I did was identify the influencer of my prospect, and I reached out to those people and built relationships at scale with them and got them to start using it and reselling to the customer. So I cold called every single Novell reseller in the country because they sold the network to that small business, and I had the first networkable business program, the first CRM to use. So I cold called every one of them, 500 of them personally, and I got 400 of them to sign up. And they started to use our product, and we essentially transformed their lives. We transformed them from people that sell plumbing to plumbers networks to network users at businesses to people that sell solutions to decision makers. And that was amazing. But I got an even better story. Microsoft doesn't innovate, they iterate. They wait for somebody else to build the market. Then they come in with a product that's good enough, and they use their muscle of billions of users and hundreds of thousands of resellers to basically dominate. And they built NT Server, and they basically ate Novell. Mm-hmm. So at that same time, my customers were telling me, John, we love that Goldmine's backend database, DBase, is doesn't cost us any money and it's simple, and that the email transport is IMAP and POP, but we want something more scalable. So then we mapped into NT Server, SQL Server, and Exchange Server. SQL Server is our database, Exchange Server is our email transport, and essentially sold millions of seats of Microsoft's first-party product with our third-party product, Goldmine. So helped our VARs make $10 on every on products and services revenue on every Goldmine dollar, and basically became Microsoft's #1 ISV. And so that is how we scaled, by riding that wave of that transformation. And so if I wanted to call that person today, this Microsoft licensing executive, I could do that because I have a story. I have a story of not only that establishes my credibility, but how I might be able to add value, because Nimble is becoming the gateway drug to not only Office 365, but Azure, Power BI, Flow, Power Apps, as well as Microsoft Dynamics and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Nimble will be able to sell millions of seats of those Microsoft products because of our simple add-on to Office 365 for social sales and marketing. And when I share that story with that person, not only do I have immediate trust, but I have immediate value to add. And so you can call people, you can email them, you can send them letters, but be very specific, be relevant and authentic, and be there to add value, not to bag and tag them. And so the summary is Nimble Prospector gives you incredible power to identify people that matter and reach out and communicate, but you need to do that in relevant, authentic ways with the purpose to add value. Be very to the point of what you want to do and how you want to help them grow. And if you do that, you can then choose the channel that's most appropriate. And so just like the Disney person example that we started with, I used a channel that was appropriate. As a business person, I used email, and then I followed up with LinkedIn, which then led to a calendar appointment and a face-to-face. And so contact info is like a loaded gun, and you just don't go shooting people. You need to know how to use the tool at the right time, in the right place. And so Nimble Prospector helps you to do that at scale. We just need to teach people that you can't just use it as a hammer. You have to use it in the appropriate ways.
Which leads us to, I wanted to set aside a little time at the end. I know you need to go, and I want to talk about explaining what is your new product, a Nimble Prospector. And I'm just going to start by sharing my experience, and then I'll let you mention it. I'm giving a talk at a university. I found another speaker at a university. I wanted to reach out to them. I was on LinkedIn. I hit Prospector. They didn't have their email or their phone number or anything else. And Prospector found that data. I was able to send the email, pick up the phone, and call them. Yes, maybe if I spent 20 minutes searching on Google, I might have found it. Okay. But I had it right there, and I had a few minutes, and I was able to make a contact before I met them by doing that. So I'd like you to take a moment and explain the new Prospector on Nimble, because it's rolled out, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, I think a picture tells 1,000 words, so why don't I just share my screen?
Okay. Now they're on audio too, so you'll have to explain your screen too. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the whole, well, then let me just talk about it, because I think we showed an example earlier. And if you just go to nimble.com/prospector or just Google Nimble space prospector space blog, you'll see videos on all of this, and you'll be able to see it, and it's in the show note. Thing that Nimble provides, because we have to talk about Nimble to talk about Nimble Prospector. I think that the operating system of yourself and or your business are the contacts you're connecting to, the conversations you're having, and the activities that you're driving. Email, contact, and calendar are the most powerful business signals that there are today, and they will continue to be powerful. But the problem is that for many people, those are three separate apps in iCloud, Gmail, G Suite, and Office 365. In fact, Outlook itself, the desktop app, doesn't provide you with context and insights, the history of interactions on email, calendar, and ideally social, and insights, who are they and what their business is about. That's why we built Nimble, because I think the big opportunity in the market is a good contact manager for individuals or for a team of people, a relationship platform. And so Nimble automatically layers on top of the data you already have in your business, email, contact, and calendar, unifies it into a singular record. So you have a history of interactions when you look at a person on email, calendar, and social that you and the team have done. We map their identity for them and their company and bring the data down, so you don't have to Google somebody, you Nimble them. We give you all their background information about who they are, where they're from, where they work, where they went to school, what they're influential in, what their business is about, how big it is, who the CEO is, what their industry is, etc. And then you could focus on the important things, the appropriate connection and the follow-up and follow-through. But you can't connect effectively if you don't have the contact info. And what Nimble has done historically is build a contact platform that lives in the cloud or on your mobile that unifies all your contacts, email, calendar, and social. And then with our browser plugin and with our mobile plugins, it allows you to work anywhere as you work. So imagine the reason why CRMs fail is that you work for them, they don't work for you. You have to Google somebody and log all that stuff, and you have to go to the CRM to use it. And so imagine a CRM that worked for you by building itself and then worked with you everywhere you worked. And most business people live in their inbox, and now more and more social, and in a variety of business apps, Nimble works in all of them. And so when you are in an email, if you're in Twitter, if you're in Facebook, if you're in LinkedIn, if you're in a Forbes article, a local business article, and you want to know who somebody is, you Nimble them, you click the button in your browser, that is the Nimble icon, it opens up a window. And if you're on a page, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, email, Office, it automatically comes up with that contact record if it exists in your Nimble. If it doesn't, we build a record. If it's not in your Nimble, or if you're not on a particular page, you just hover on the name wherever you are, and Nimble will basically build a record for that person. That's what Nimble has been doing. The new thing in Prospector gives you their contact info, which says, we will give you not only their name and title and the company name, but the address of them and their company, the phone number for the company and their direct dial numbers, as well as their email, which enables you to then determine how you might want to reach out to this person. Should you send them a letter, which is kind of unique these days? How many people get letters anymore? Should you send them an email? Should you pick up the phone and call them? And this could be used for people you know or don't know. The example you just used was somebody that you knew. I think you knew that professor, right? But you just
no. This was another speaker. Okay. I was speaking at an event. I thought I want to reach out and talk to them, but the message is I'm also speaking there.
Okay,
so that's the permission I have to interrupt.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. So that's an example of you reach out to somebody you don't know. Here's the example that I had. I had a webinar yesterday where the link was bad, and there were minutes before the show, and I needed their contact info, which I didn't have. So I Nimbled them with Prospector. Nimble gave me the contact info. I picked up the phone. We got connected, and nobody knows what was going on behind the scenes, but Nimble Prospector had my back, Jack. And so you could use it for people you don't know, but I also like to use it for people I do know. I have people's contact info, and because I have a personal relationship with them, I may have their personal email, but sometimes I need to communicate on their business email. And so Nimble basically gives me the tools that I need to connect at scale. And this is applicable if you don't have a CRM, because I think that every business person listening to me should maintain their own personal CRM, a golden Rolodex that basically helps you to build your network and your net worth and your brand. And then you can take that with you and use it at whatever tool you have in your business. So we actually have customers that use Nimble inside their Dynamic CRM, inside their Salesforce CRM, inside of whatever business platform that they're using. And so Nimble can either be your social sales and marketing platform, or it can work within your existing social sales and marketing platforms, whatever tools you have in your business. In fact, I'm going to preview something we haven't announced yet. In 2 weeks, we will deliver within Nimble, built-in, bi-directional intelligent synchronization to 80 of the top business apps that are on the market today, which means that not only can we unify your email, contact, and calendar and social from Office, Gmail, G Suite, and iCloud, but we can unify your existing social, sales, marketing, customer service, accounting, and social media apps, which includes QuickBooks, Zendesk,
Yay! I'm sorry.
MailChimp, basically anything you have, and not only do all of them and keep them in sync, but say which ones you want to keep in sync. Only the new ones, only the ones that have a phone number, only the ones that have a lead score of X, Y, or Z. And then Nimble becomes the system of record relationship for your business. And then anywhere you are working, you could prospect smarter, and any work you do in Nimble goes back into whatever tool you have based off the rules you set up, including your CRM. So we will free your contacts up from the silos they're in, give your team a unified relationship platform, allow you to work anywhere, and have the updates, the prospects, the prospecting you do go back into your business tools you have, which I think is amazing.
I'm real excited because I want to integrate it. Now, I want to thank you for an addition to the mobile app that makes sure people know it's in there, and it's the card scanning device. And right. And poor John has heard me wailing on him, requesting it for a while, and I knew what it would take to do it. So I just want to thank you. There's so many people who still have cards. There was a way to do it. It's just there was several extra steps. Now it's fully integrated.
Are you aware of the Share Via feature?
No, I'm not. No. Shame on me. What's the Share Via?
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen and do this.
And we'll describe it for our listeners. But I just want to say, I'm so happy. I got 5 cards. I can scan them in one at a time, get them into Nimble, correct them if somehow the card's so weird it picks the wrong person, which is not very often, and I'm ready to rock and roll with it. And that's just a great thing.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see your screen. So just describe it for our listeners, too, as we're on it. So you're in a Nimble screen looking something up.
Yeah, but I'm actually going to do this via my mobile. So I'm going to display my mobile on the screen.
Oh,
here.
Wonderful. Right.
So can you see my mobile?
Yep. And now you're showing the mobile on the screen. Yep.
Okay. So the problem with your phone is that you have a calendar appointment and you don't and you basically have this podcast here with Martin, but you don't know who these people are.
Right.
And so what you want to be able to do is know who they are. And so basically you can't get to that information. So even if I were to go to the contact record, there's nothing in there.
Right.
But there's this new feature called Share Contact. And you can Nimble them.
Excellent.
And then Nimble will automatically go and basically
look them up.
They bring up that record if it does exist. If it doesn't exist, it'll build the record for you automatically, and that works everywhere. So I could be inside of an email, and let me just find an email from somebody.
And I just, for our listeners, what occurred is he's showing an iPhone, and then he showed basically right after that, he showed the little thing, share this, and then shared it into Nimble. And then Nimble grabbed it.
So I'm in an email, and I want to know who Martin is.
Yeah.
So I just click on the name and I just scroll down and I say share contact and I Nimble you.
Excellent.
And so Nimble works inside your email, inside your calendar, or just inside your contact record. I could Nimble them from there. And it even works inside of your apps. So if I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Doug, or let's say Ted Rubin, and I want to know who Ted is, I just click these 3 buttons right there, and I say Share Via, and I Nimble them. And so Nimble will then build or bring up that record anywheres. And what I love to do is if I wanted to find somebody, and I'm just gonna randomly look somebody up here, Jon Clunan. So I don't know who John is, but I'm Googling them. And so essentially what I can do here is I can then just Nimble them, ...
Yeah.
Share Via, and I just built the contact record out of Google automatically.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is a really neat piece. So folks, go to the show notes if you're listening, and you'll be able to see this in action. I know, Jon, you have to get a plane, so I want to wrap it up now. And I just want to say, try out the Prospector as well. But we really, I believe, gave people something on the topic of how to prospect smarter today.
I really do, because I really believe that if you teach people to fish, they'll figure out yourself fishing poles, and that you should be delivering inspirational, educational, actionable information on a regular basis to set yourself up as a trusted advisor. And that's what you and Greg and Liz have done, is set yourselves up as trusted advisor about social sales and marketing. And that's why you are a destination for people to learn how to be better, smarter, faster, and achieve their passion, plan, and purpose in life. So thank you, Martin. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Elise, for enabling me to come onto your show and to share with your community some of my passion about how you can build your brand and grow your network.
And excellent. On that, I'll mention we have our on socialselling.training. You'll find our new course on the fundamentals of social selling. We recommend people do it and reach out to us. We'll have a special deal. Contact us on LinkedIn and let us know why. Don't just send a connection, and we'll give you a special coupon for it. And this was excellent, Jon. Have a safe trip and look forward to getting you back on the show. But I'm excited to connect my QuickBooks to Nimble. That's the next thing on my list, because then my whole system's integrated now. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.